Terminator Genisys. I'm liking it. Not bad, not bad. Could be worse, could be worse. Oh, this is the worst. I hate myself, I hate myself, I hate myself. Terminator Genisys is directed by Alan Rickman, and it is the 5th movie in the Terminator franchise, and a franchise that really should have stopped after 1 and 2. I'm not even going to bother going into the plot of Terminator Genisys because it's so stupid and repetitive and repulsive that I think I would just offend you by talking about it. So basically it's just a movie about time travel and robots and anything but Terminator. Arnold's back, and he's really the only person I liked in the movie acting-wise. I still think they turned his character... The Terminator is such a joke now with Arnold's character. He went from, in the first one, being this just killer robot that stopped at nothing to kill Sarah Connor. Now he's like her grandpa or some junk like that. They've really just made his character into a joke, but he was trying in this movie, so I'll give him credit. As far as everyone else goes, I really thought nobody worked in this movie. Jai Courtney is stale and boring. He's not necessarily bad, he's just one of the most boring actors in Hollywood, and he keeps getting big roles and he keeps killing franchises. Emilia Clarke, same thing, she plays Sarah Connor, and no, she does not. She just plays some woman who has some issues with self-esteem or whatever. She is not Sarah Connor. Linda Hamilton was, you just knew she could kick anyone's butt at any time. She was gritty. Emilia Clarke is not that at all. She's like the opposite. As far as the action sequences go, I mean, everything was in the trailer action-wise, and there's some of the most forgettable actions. I can't even tell you, well, I guess I could watch the trailer and go tell you, but I can't remember any action scenes that happened. They were just like there and dull and boring and repetitive, and there was some action, not a lot in the first hour of the movie, and then they just started like repeating action scenes back to back to back, and it just got very dull again. Now the twist of the movie, if you will, it was spoiled in the trailers, but if you haven't seen it, I still won't spoil it, but yeah, it's just stupid, it's very stupid, and I'm actually kind of glad we got it spoiled in the trailer, because if I had gone in not knowing it, yeah, it's just stupid, it's very stupid, and I'm actually kind of glad we got it spoiled in the trailer, because if I had gone in not knowing it and I would have seen it, I would have been even more angry, but I had already had time to cope with it and come to grips with it, but, you know, it still made me mad, and the way they handled it and wrapped everything up, it just... Terminator 1 and 2 don't even matter in this universe anymore, and James Cameron, screw you, man. If you're supporting this movie and saying it works, it disrespects your movies, honestly. They trash everything that happens, they try to have their own spin on it, and it just sucks. Again, this is the second straight blockbuster where the comedy is just so awful. Jurassic World was just these horrible, cheesy one-liners. Same thing with Terminator. Oh, it was repulsively bad. I laughed maybe once the whole movie, and it probably wasn't anything that was supposed to be funny. Arnold, oh, they keep giving him these jokes, and everyone, Jai Courtney trying to be funny, oh, it makes me want to puke. It's so awful. The comedy, why? This isn't Terminator anymore. This is some, like, should be a PG-rated Saturday morning cartoon or something. It's just crap. Even if you want to view this as just a pure action movie, not a Terminator movie, it still fails. Because, again, the fight scenes are not memorable at all, the plot gets very repetitive, and the same thing literally happens twice in 45 minutes. And overall, it's just not a fun time at the theater. It's not fun. Like, it's just not, there's no charisma, there's no charm, there's nothing. I'm really just rooting for this movie to just suck at the box office, not make any revenue whatsoever, even though that obviously won't happen because it has Terminator on the title. Because I do not want to see another Terminator. I don't care if James Cameron gets the rights back because he's supporting this movie. I don't want to see any more Terminator. Just stop. Please stop. Overall, the more and more I think about this movie, the more and more I've begun to just absolutely hate this movie and dread this movie. I'm going to give Terminator Genisys a 3.5 out of 10. Easily the worst movie I've seen so far this year. And if you've had the displeasure of already seeing it, I'm sorry. And if you haven't seen it yet, please stay away. Don't support this movie. You're not going to have a good time. Now I'm going to throw it over to Jamin for his thoughts.
Alright guys, so here's my side of the Terminator Genisys review. And yeah, so obviously Jack did some ripping on this movie, and well, it's very true in a lot of aspects of what he had to say, although I took this movie as something a little bit different. For me, I'm a huge Terminator fan. I'm a huge fan of the first two movies in the series, Terminator 1, Terminator 2, and I gotta say, this is far different than any of those. And Jack said it does seem kind of like a cartoon type thing. It seems more to me as a spin-off movie, and that's kind of how they interpret interpreted this film, considering that it has really nothing to do with the first or second movies. Really, if you go into this movie, you don't really need to see the first two movies. This movie is directed also by Alan Taylor, who was the director of Thor: The Dark World, which I think is really obvious when you look back at it. I didn't realize it at first. And for me, I've never been a huge fan of Thor, but the second one was definitely far worse than the other one, and it seemed as though it kind of was mucky in the plot, and it just kind of, you know, just trugged along. And this movie was really similar to that, I felt, in a lot of ways. Obviously, you look at the cast, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger is an obvious one. You know, he's great in this movie, no doubt about it. You know, they do utilize him in an odd fashion now, though. He's a lot of one-liners. You know, they use him to kind of treat him as, you know, the cover character, because that's kind of what he is now. He's just kind of that famous guy who plays Terminator. And they don't really utilize him as an actor well enough, even though I think he could still be something pretty solid. Most of his scenes in this movie are just, you know, caring for Emilia Clarke's character, Sarah Connor, and really, you know, that part was just kind of interesting to me. You know, I think the connection of them, I just didn't really feel it. And Emilia Clarke as Sarah Connor, I would agree with Jack, it wasn't very good. You know, she definitely wasn't as good as I thought coming in, but, you know, she's just bland. You know, overall, not many other characters work in this movie. As Jack said, you know, Jason Clarke, he tries to be bad and kind of the bad guy. You don't really buy it, and you don't really buy him too much as John Connor. I think he's just a lot of just filler characters in this. Jai Courtney kind of does some things at times, but really he doesn't get through it with what he wants too much. And honestly, like I say, this movie's kind of overall pretty bland. The action scenes, I thought some of them were pretty good, but again, most of those are spoiled in the trailer, and it's just really unfortunate. Trailers really did this movie bad, and gave us a lot of things. Personally, I'm different with Jack's perspective on the John Connor as being the evil guy. I think that would have been kind of interesting to me. Again, this to me was more of a spin-off movie. It wasn't a Terminator movie. I was expecting to see a continuation of the Terminator franchise. And personally, like I say, it didn't do that well. Really, my main issues in this movie also was just the overall plot. I found myself, you know, saying, what? You know, what happened? Wait. You know, how does that happen? You know, there's so many times in that movie where I feel like the plot was just kind of, oh, let's just do this, let's just do that, and it didn't work like that. So overall, you know, I'm not very impressed with Terminator Genisys. I did go in and enjoy some of the moments, though. I didn't completely hate it as Jack did. I think, you know, as a Terminator fan, you're going to enjoy seeing a lot of these cyborgs come back on the big screen. Is it a continuation of this first movies? I don't think it is, and that's why I don't think it's as bad. But it definitely doesn't work as a movie. There's just so much, you know, for what it is. I think you just gotta accept it, but it's very hard to explain. Some people I think will really like this movie. I think some people that will really hate this movie. It just kind of depends on how much of a Terminator fan you were. But again, don't go into this movie looking for the next, you know, Terminator, amazing Terminator movie that we knew from the first two, because that's just not going to happen. So overall, please let us know in the comments down below your thoughts on this movie. Because we want to know. I think it's kind of curious to see how this movie goes through with a lot of other people. But I'm going to go ahead and rate this movie now, and I'm going to go ahead and rate it a little higher than Jack, obviously. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 10. I think it offered a few. A very, very few, but some good moments in this movie, which was good. So yeah, this is my review of Terminator Genisys and Jack's and J&J reviews. So again, let us know what you guys think in the comments down below, and stay tuned for lots of more movies here in J&J Reviews, and we're signing out.